Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about a few things before we get into the actual character creation part of this video. I want to show how you could cooperate with your players to make backstories and characters that will actually engage with the plot that you're running in your D&D campaign. And to make this character creation as authentic as possible, I'm coming into it with zero prep and zero idea what this player wants to do with their character. During this prep, we're going to be mainly focusing on the backstory and the personality of this character. We're not really going to go into mechanics because that would just add so much more extra time, as well as these narrative aspects for these characters are what we're going to use as the DM for our campaign. The character that is made in this video is going to be used for our example world in our fantasy framework series. So if you have not watched any of that, I would recommend you give it a watch to help better understand the context of what's going on while we're making these characters, but you don't necessarily have to watch it to understand what I'm trying to do with making this character together. With all of that out of the way, here's our process for making this first example character. Enjoy. Thank you for joining me, Jake. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to create characters for this example world and to show viewers how this process goes in our campaigns.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So we're kind of going to bypass a lot of the mechanics and stuff like that, the actual like rolling for stats and doing that stuff, because I think for the most part people got a good grasp of that. I mainly want to go into the backstory elements. We could, if you want to, we could start with some of the mechanic stuff that will help you develop out your character's backstory and stuff. But what I'm mainly looking for is just the backstory. I sent you a few things with the previous campaign, the stuff that was covered over the previous fantasy framework videos. And I know you've watched that and read all of that stuff. Have you given much thought to a character you want to play, or are you coming into this completely fresh?
Yeah, I've given it a little thought. I would definitely want to create a character that is kind of synergizes with your worlds. So I was thinking one of the pocket dimensions is where my character would be from, if that would be cool. I don't know how that would relate to being a part of the Knights, because I know it's a team of Knights going in and kind of setting up these portals to these other dimensions, trying to contact them.
Yeah. Before we get into that, I totally just remembered something that I wanted to do as well. I also want you to talk about how you as a player like to engage with D&D.
Totally. Yeah, so I'll give a quick backstory. I'm Jake, and I've been playing D&D for like 2 years now with Will. He's a fantastic DM. He got me into it. And I'd say that my play style is definitely kind of a lot how I am in real life, is usually how my characters tend to be. They have a lot of my traits as a person. So I tend to take more risks in the game and do things that most people wouldn't, because that's how I tend to play most games whenever it comes to it. If it's like a video game or if it's just D&D, I like to take risks in the game. I think it's fun, and it always turns out with like a crazy story. For example, one time I kidnapped the mayor in Will's campaign and totally threw him for a loop with that one.
That was not really what I was expecting at all from that session. You never really plan for stuff like that to happen, but you always gotta roll with the punches. Out of the kind of three core pillars of D&D, exploration, combat, and role playing, how much do you fall into each category? If you had a set of, like, let's say 10 skill points, how much would you put into each category?
10 skill points if I put in each category.
Yeah.
Exploration, combat, and
role playing
or
social interaction.
I definitely like combat. I'd probably put like a good 5 points into combat. The combat's always fun for me.
Okay.
I'd also put like another, maybe even 3 or 4 into role playing, and then maybe like 1 point into exploration. I'm just not a big fan of like going out and like exploring a bunch of different pathways.
Yeah.
I kind of like to be like a little bit more linear in my mind, but I love role playing. I think that's really fun, especially listening to characters that Will comes up with. They're always a blast, and they're also unique, so it's really interesting playing with them or trying to fight them. The interactions are just awesome. I like a more linear kind of game, so that takes away from the exploration aspect a little bit, I guess. But yeah, I love the storytelling aspect of D&D. That's usually what I want from a campaign. Is I want a story. You know, I want my guy to feel like one of 4 main characters. You know, I want a group of main characters going through this, and basically the whole story is kind of pivoting around their choices. That's how I like to see the campaign. So I'm much more focused on the story aspect of the campaign rather than exploration necessarily.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I'm if I had to grade myself, I'd probably be around 5 into role play, probably 3 into combat, and probably two into exploration. So I'm in roughly the same boat. I lean a little more into the role play and the story aspect. But yeah, I guess with that out the way, let's get started with the actual character creation process.
Sweet.
I know I said we wouldn't talk about mechanics much, but I think starting out with what species and class your character is probably going to be a good starting off point, because it will
Definitely
help develop out the rest of our backstory and stuff like that. And this won't really be the case for our setting, because it's a lot more high fantasy with a bit of sci-fi. You may be in a setting where some species are looked down upon or revered, where some species are more rare than others. But for our setting, it probably won't matter too much.
Okay. Now, is it possible to come up with a homebrew species?
We could, yeah.
Or you want to keep it simple with just the default species?
Normally, I would like to keep it simple, but you know, if you are wanting to homebrew something or combine some species and stuff, we could totally work together and try to make that possible. What were you thinking?
Well, I heard the starting place we'd be going to is a world called Cactix.
Yes.
And that got me thinking. And I think it'd be cool to be like some kind of like cactus person, if that exists in this world.
a cactus person.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, like I don't know if there's cactus people or anything like that, but
okay. What?
Or is that like totally wild for this world?
I haven't really heard much about the normal D&D rules about cactus people. What if we expand it out and just be like general plant people? But you could still be a cactus.
Like plant person.
Yeah, you could still be a cactus. So you want to be from Cactix?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be cool.
Okay. Yeah. It would definitely take some time to actually develop out what the species will look like in terms of abilities and stuff like that. But you know what? I think that's a pretty cool idea. So I think we should run with it. It's going to be interesting. What are you hoping to get from playing like a cactus person?
I don't know. I just feel like it'd be cool. You know, I don't know. A lot of my characters are kind of typically loosely based or pretty closely based on other media. Yeah. So for example, one time I made a like Pops from Regular Show. I turned him into a character, and that was awesome. And he talked like this. Jolly good show, you know, and very much like Pops from Regular Show. But I was thinking, I saw Cactix, and the first thing I thought of was, oh man, dude, classic Plants vs. Zombies, you know? Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, the first one, where they had the cactus subclass, and you could play on that guy, and he was like a sniper. So I was thinking like, oh, dude, cactus person who's a ranger, you know?
Okay. I was actually thinking of gosh, I don't really play Final Fantasy, but there's that one cactus person. They were just released
Do
it.
they, do they have a cactus person?
Yeah, I play since I play Magic the Gathering, they just had a Final Fantasy set, and there's this one cactus person who gets like over 10,000 power. It's really funny card, and that's what I'm imagining in my head right now is the cactus person from the.
Jumbo cactar, 10,000 needles.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's got a little mustache and everything. That's hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah, kind of like that.
cool, cool. So you're thinking cactus ranger person. Okay, uh, that's going to be interesting. I think ranger's a good choice. And so you're wanting to actually not necessarily have a weapon yourself, but to be able to shoot out projectiles from yourself. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, I'd probably shoot like cactus needles. I think
Okay.
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Now that we kind of established that out, is there any other mechanics that you want to get established before we get into our backstory?
Like with the character specifically.
Yeah.
Nah, he'd probably be this like kind of like tough and gritty cactus, from like out like in the I assume this is like a desert type planet, and he'd be
Yes.
like out from like I wouldn't say nomadic, but maybe kind of like old school cowboy vibes, or the cowboys just going from like town to town and kind of just wandering through the desert a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like a survivalist. I think would be pretty cool. But mechanics wise, yeah, he probably just. I'm thinking he shoots cactus needles out of his mouth or something. That'd be
Yeah.
neat. Instead of it's like a crossbow kind of attack, and it'd be cool if he had like some kind of thing where he needed, because he's like a plant, right? So it'd be cool if he had to get like water every so often or something. Some kind of mechanic like that, where even in this desert world, like I still need to get water every so often, or like the clock's ticking against me. If I don't get some water, I'm gonna kick the bucket here because I'm a plant.
Yeah. Okay.
And I know cacti are pretty resilient, but I think that'd be neat.
We could also
So it'd be a little bit challenging.
we also instead of giving you a essentially like a nerf or a debuff, we could also make it so that if you get water or a good amount of sunlight, instead you get a buff instead of holding you back, you get a little bit stronger when you get that stuff.
That'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So since you're going to be from Cactus, um, I'm going to go over what's kind of happening at Cactus again real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, Cactus is one of the worlds that has begun to wither, and so
Mm-hmm.
that right now there's Mithra and Nexus are taking a lot of refugees from these various places that are starting to wither, and that includes Cactus. So at some point during your backstory, we're going to get you Nexus and part of the Aetherclad.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into the backstory. So I'm going to have 3 sets of questions. Questions about where you were, questions about where you are, and questions about where you're going.
Sweet. So which one do we want to start with?
We're going to start chronologically because I think that's probably going to be the easiest for us. So where you were. Now that we kind of established a little bit about your character, you kind of already know the answer to this question, but I want to dive a little bit deeper. Where is your character from? Where are you from? And this can go for obviously your dimension is Cactus, but let's develop out like a town, or if you're nomadic, let's develop out the tribe a little bit, like and stuff like that. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so I'm thinking kind of just wandering from town to town, picking up loose end jobs, or I don't think he's not an outlaw, He's not breaking the rules or robbing or stealing from people, but he probably kind of just wanders from town to town looking for odd jobs here and there.
Yeah. And so I guess I should ask, is this something that if he's from a place where this is normal, or is that kind of something that he's developed out himself?
He's probably developed out this himself, not having many close relations.
Okay. Let's go back a bit. your person's a plant person, right?
Yes.
How does that work? Okay, so you come from, I'm assuming, a place where there's
Well,
other plant people.
yeah, like, well, when a mommy cactus, cactus person and a daddy cactus person really love each other a lot. Boom, baby cactus.
Okay, I guess that's one way to describe it.
They propagate. Like, or I guess that is another way maybe it could happen is they could like cut off a part of themselves and then that part starts growing. It's
so,
a
like,
little. Yeah, it's propagation. Cut off part of the plant, sticking in the ground, that part starts growing.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you like a copy of another cactus, or are you like? Since this is a completely made-up species, we're gonna have to do a little bit more work than we would otherwise. At least in the where you were section of your character's backstory.
I'd say the propagation would make sense. There's also seeds, cactus make flowers and the flower seed. So I guess there's two ways to go about it. Now, was I seeded or was I propagated is the question.
Yeah.
Propagation, I would assume, would just be like a clone, like you said, and it'd be like a exact copy because it was literally a part of the other cactus.
Yeah. Which could be interesting.
What if there's like a central like grandfather cactus? You know what I mean?
Okay. What you mean by that?
So in this town, like let's say I come from like a cactus town. It was just a bunch of cactus people kind of vibe. And in this cactus town, there's like a really old like grandfather cactus. Okay. And everyone kind of he kind of like propagates himself, and then that's where like everyone in the town comes from is like the grandfather cactus.
All right.
Maybe just spitballing ideas.
I think that sounds great.
And then maybe the withering affects the grandfather cactus or something, or the town. And how recent is the withering of cactus? I guess I would ask.
Yeah, I think I said it's within the past decade. I know it's within the past decade. I think it was 5 years ago.
Okay.
Like it's really recent.
So I'm wondering if maybe the withering like affects the grandfather cactus or the cactus town in some way, and forces the people to start traveling around, and being a little bit more nomadic. Or maybe that's the reason why I'm walking around a lot and kind of just going from town to town.
So are you one of the only people searching for? So you're searching basically for the cure to the withering.
Yeah, I would imagine there'd probably be several people from my town. I mean, probably a lot of people are trying to figure that out, or at least just run from it. Yeah, I'd say I'm probably searching for a cure.
Let's also say this as well. Do you think that what if the grandfather cactus was physically embedded into the ground or something to where that the grandfather cactus could not leave?
Well, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He's like embedded into the city. Like there's no going anywhere for him. Like that's how big and old he is.
Yeah, cool.
And that's why it's kind of important to find the cure for this thing or to stop it, because otherwise he can't like be moved anywhere. And if the grandfather cactus dies, that's like a big deal because pretty much everyone, well, maybe not everyone, I guess. Would he be the source of all cactuses?
We could say so.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah, he's the source of all new like cactus people. So if he goes down, then it's bad news basically for the cactus species.
Yeah, basically extinction.
It would be extinction. Yeah. So the stakes are high. Yeah, I like that. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think that sounds great. How would you kind of describe this town that you're from? Is it like a town or something like that? Is it very primitive, or have you guys adopted some of the technology that has been brought forth?
I don't think it'd be like a traditional town at all. Because they're like cactus people, and this is like a giant cactus that's grown out of the ground. So I'm thinking maybe more along the lines of Oasis kind of vibes. Like there's like a pool of water or something, and That's like the center of the town is the pool of water, and then the grandfather cactus is located in the ground somewhere around the area. And maybe the cactus people have come to build like little adobe houses on the outskirts, but there's not really much infrastructure set up for the town.
Okay. I guess what do they do to survive there? How do they make a living? Do they interact with many of the people there?
On Cactus, do they interact with any of the people?
Yeah, do they interact with like other towns and stuff like the other species like humans and stuff like that?
I want to say they probably try to interact with other people, but other people don't like them that much because they're rather prickly. They're covered in spikes. Kind of hard to deal with and have them be around other people. You know what I mean? On like a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume they're kind of viewed as like Star Wars, like Tatooine, like the Tusken Raiders, how they're kind of like viewed by the humans.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of similar vibe for the Cactus people. Like they're not like brutal, like tribal people, but seen as like more native to the planet and not as accepted by other people, maybe.
Okay. So how do they kind of survive out there then if they're kind of isolated?
Yeah, the oasis is, I think, their source of water because they're plants.
Yeah.
And, I guess they just eat sunlight. They photosynthesis.
So they're just kind of vibing out there.
Yeah, I think they probably just chill out there. Yeah, they don't really need to like traditional money or gold or stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're kind of like primitive in their ways almost,
They just chilling. Does anyone really have any goals to leave, or just kind of everyone just wants to stay and relax? Obviously,
I think there's probably some like few younger cacti that want to get out there and see what the rest of the world's like. There's probably a few of them out there, but I think most people are content living the way they are.
Okay. Obviously, that changes with the withering, but before
yes,
of course.
I think the withering forces them to change.
All right, so that's
adapt.
That's our first question down a little bit. So let's get into relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I guess everyone there is kind of like your siblings or your cousins or
yeah, related from the grandfather cactus. I'd reckon.
Yeah.
If they're all clones.
So we are going with the clone thing.
Man, well, I don't think. Here's the thing. I mean, it would make sense if they were direct clones, but like, I think they're all kind of different.
Perhaps
personality-wise.
Perhaps depending on what part of the grandfather cactus was cut off, it determines like the personality of the person that's born.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah, determine it like there'd be different sections. Or maybe even like how much water or sunlight they get in like a given year will affect, like whether or not they're like kind of shriveled and like agitated, or maybe they're like healthy and happy or something.
Yeah.
Okay. And then relationship wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. This is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. Are there any like particular people that you're close with?
Probably not a whole lot. Well, no, I let's go with I am close to a couple people. There's a couple of cactuses in town that I really enjoy the company of, and that I like hanging around.
Yeah, why do you like hanging around them?
I think one of them has an adventurous spirit. He wants to go out and explore. The other's kind of the voice of reason, and my guy is kind of like a little bit of a wild card, I want to say. That's how I'm thinking about it. So I think I like the other two because they have traits that my character does not possess, and he likes hanging around with them because they build those traits in him. They instill those values in him.
Okay. So how did you come to meet these people?
I'd say they're like childhood friends. I grew up with them.
For each character that's made, including your own, we can come up with names later.
Yeah.
I always feel like sometimes trying to name everything can get in the way.
Definitely, because names are important. while to think of a name for a character, so you can always come back to it.
Yeah. So these two people, right? You have a positive relationship with them. Um, how was their reaction whenever the withering came about?
The one who's adventurous wants to go out and find a cure.
Just like you.
And then yeah, like me. And then the level-headed one is still kind of in denial of the whole thing happening.
Okay.
You know, might be panicking for like the first time that we've ever seen.
Okay.
That my character's seen her. Let's go with this cactus being a her. So I've seen her panic.
Female cactus.
Yes, these cactuses have genders. Male and female cacti.
I have no idea how that works.
Well, it actually, a lot of plants do have male and female counterparts. Like, for example, what do you call it? Avocado trees. I think only female avocado trees actually produce avocados.
Interesting.
Male ones only pollinate the female ones.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't know much about avocados.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the next town over, actually. That's stupid. They all come from a tree.
The grandfather tree.
Yeah, they all fall off when they're ripe. Anyways.
If this was going to be a full-length campaign, I totally would add the avocado people in.
Oh boy.
Okay. So I think that's good for now. About them, we might come back to them talking a little bit more, but let's keep going. Do you have any negative relationship? Anyone that you dislike for any particular reason?
Yeah, I want to say there's probably a cactus who's kind of mean, kind of bitter, a little shriveled up, kind of wrinkly looking, and this cactus is just not nice to a lot of the other cacti. This cactus tries to make fun of or like harass our cactus group, and this guy, he's a little bit older than the rest of us too. You know, like classic, just kind of like bully in the town.
The stereotypical high school bully.
Yeah, something like that.
He totally has a leather jacket.
Yeah, all this actually the cactus needles just go right through it. That's how he actually wears it.
Is there any particular reason why he would make fun of your group?
Because I think it's a little bit more like taboo in this town to be friends with like adventurous people. So like the adventurous guy in the group probably gets picked on the most because it's a little bit more taboo. Because most people are just kind of content to just live there like forever.
Yeah.
And never really go out and meet new areas or go explore new areas or meet new people.
I guess you don't really have any parents. Besides, how is your relationship with the grandfather? Do you ever talk to the grandfather cactus, or do you kind of just is it kind of just like a deity that you don't really interact with?
No, I think people in the town go to interact with it. Like they talk to him for advice and like wisdom.
Yeah.
So I think you can go up and talk to him kind of just whenever.
Yeah.
But he's kind of stuck in place.
Do you ever talk?
Yeah, I definitely think he's. Yeah. I think my character would go and talk to him every now and then. I think he kind of has a bit of like an ego, so he probably doesn't. He usually doesn't take advice a whole lot of the time.
Okay.
But every now and then his friends will convince him to go and talk to the grandfather cactus about something.
So we kind of already went over this next question. How was your childhood / community you grew up in? We kind of talked about that all the way through during the previous questions, just by asking some more. I guess now let's change that question to be more. What is your view on your overall community?
My character likes the community and likes the simplicity of it. He thinks it's not likes, but he thinks it's okay. But the more and more he talks to his friend who wants to go explore the world, and he like tells him stories of other towns and everything, he wants to go out and explore. And I think my group of friends will go, and we'll go to like a town or explore like a new town next to us every so often. Not very frequently, but every now and then we'll try to go out and explore.
Does the girl cactus go with you at all?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
She usually not sometimes. She usually reluctantly goes, I'd say.
Yeah.
Kind of keep us out of trouble.
Let me ask a little bit more about her before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like she has a very opposite personality um, compared to you and the adventurous guy. It seems like you and the adventurous guy are a lot more closer in your aspirations, I guess, as you would call them. You say that you guys are childhood friends. What is the reason why she continues to hang around you guys despite not really agreeing with your guys' actions? I guess we'll put it that way.
We grew up hanging around the oasis together, the little pond, and she would be picked on by the bully cactus for whatever reason, I'm thinking.
Leather jacket.
And leather jacket man, and we kind of stand up to the mean cactus, but we'd always get beat up, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think she likes us because we stick up for her, and she sticks up for us, even though she might think us a little bit reckless.
So those last three questions were more generalized questions that would kind of work regardless of the setting. It's good to get those out the way because they're very useful to help just create kind of a baseline. But now let's talk about some of the stuff that is world specific to our campaign. So the withering happens about 5 years ago. How old would you say that you were then?
I'd say I'm a young cactus. I'd say cactus people probably live a good amount of time given the right.
What is the normal lifespan of a cactus?
Let's see.
200 years. Okay. That's hard.
So like twice the lifetime of a human?
Yeah. Well, it says 10 to 100, so it could be.
10 to 100. Okay, I thought you said 200. Yeah, I'd say that probably like a 20-year-old cactus. Assuming that most cactuses live to about like 80, 60. So I'm still pretty young cactus.
Okay.
And it's pretty rare for a cactus person to live like all the way to like 100 or past 100.
Yeah. You're still fairly young. So you say you're 20 when the withering happens, or you're 20 now. It doesn't necessarily matter a whole lot.
Let's go with later. When it was. When I was 20 when it happened.
Okay, so you're around 25 now.
So I'm around 25 now.
Cool. So you're kind of already an adult cactus.
Adult cactus.
By the time the withering happened. We've talked about how that affected you a little bit, but let's go more into depth about how it kind of affected your life in the community. When did you decide that you wanted to leave the community to search for a cure?
When the withering started, did it immediately affect my town, or would you say it started in like a different region, or is it like affecting the whole planet at once, or is it like slowly spreading across the planet?
That's a good question. It affects the whole planet kind of at once, but it's a fairly slow process. So you just kind of notice some things like the water in the oasis is kind of dropping, or the days are getting colder. There's more clouds in the sky, stuff like that.
I see. So it's kind of affecting everything at once.
Yeah.
But slowly.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd say my character, probably wasn't very concerned at first with the things that were going on, because, he's experienced droughts in the past, and things of that similar nature, which have been kind of tough times for the community. But the community always bounces back, and it's not really a huge problem in the grand scheme of things. So I'd say at first he probably doesn't think too much about it. And then probably when the grandfather cactus starts getting affected is when my character would kind of start talking to his group of friends and devising some type of plan to help out, because now that the grandfather cactus is being affected, things are getting bad for the cactus people. Because this is the source of all new cacti.
Yeah. So I remember you saying that the girl cactus was kind of in denial about wanting to leave and search for a cure and stuff like that. Your adventurous buddy, it seems like he'd probably be one of the first people to want to go out and help. All right.
Yeah, definitely. I think he would constantly be like trying to convince us to go for the first year or two that it's happening and go explore and see what's happening with the rest of the planet.
I have this last question, which probably won't really pertain to you a whole lot. It's, did you always want to be an eighth clad? And you probably had really no idea what that was up until you actually left your community.
Yeah, I didn't really know what that was, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe the grandfather cactus knows a little bit about the lore of the planet, and will sometimes drop lore here and there to the people.
Yeah. How old?
Who are willing to listen to him.
How old do you think grandfather cactus is?
How old is this like dimension? Because you said it's been like a while since the pocket dimensions happened.
Yeah, like tens
since they got split up. Yeah, I don't think he's that old by any means. So I don't think he was around when the first when it was created its own dimension.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'd say he's probably medium old town civilization. And he's been around for like several hundred years, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe 500 years, maybe. So he's seen quite a few generations, but maybe less than that. Maybe like 300 to 500 years old. I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, either of those works fine. We could say 500. I was just curious how old you wanted him to be, because if he was old enough to be part of the old world, that'd be very interesting.
That'd be cool, but I think the civilization wouldn't make sense if it was still so small. Maybe it would. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it would be cool if he was part of the old world, because then he'd be able to drop lore about like the old world and stuff like that, and that the people would kind of know what's going on.
Yeah, it would make sense for him to be a little bit not nearly that old. So
yeah, tens of thousands of years old is wild.
We're going to stop the kind of where you were questions there, and we're going to move into where you are. Would you describe this point in your life as the highlight of your life, or the best point in your life?
I'd say so. My guy's kind of got more of an adventuring spirit, so I'd definitely say he thinks maybe not necessarily like a highlight, but he definitely thinks it's like the most interesting part of his life.
Okay.
Because other than that, I mean, the community is kind of quaint, and they're not really contacting other people so often, and they kind of just keep to themselves for the most part, most of the community at least. So I'd say he sees this as like a big challenge, but also, there's a lot of responsibility riding on whether or not he can help figure it out for his community.
Yeah. I'm also guessing like the people in his community aren't really expecting much of him.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Being that they your group was a little bit of a, not necessarily outcast, but on the fringe of your community. So it's almost like you're a bit starry-eyed getting to do all these things that you've always thought about doing, but it's not necessarily in a in a positive way, but it's still interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got you. How would you describe your character's personality?
I describe him as a little bit more thrill seeking, maybe, compared to most people.
Okay.
So more inclined to be adventurous, especially when he has a friend who's super adventurous. I'd say he's like a protector of others, so he cares about those he's close to, wants to keep them safe, and doesn't want danger to see them.
And this section that we're talking about is really to help you define out how you want to play your character as well, and establish like where you are at whenever you start the campaign. So
Mm-hmm.
it can help you get into character before a session would start.
Yeah, I'd also say it probably takes him, a little while to get, friendly with people. Though he's not immediately friendly, so he cares about those who he is close with, but it takes a little bit for him to warm up to people.
Okay, so he's really tight knit with the people that he is with.
Yes, I'd say so.
All right. Um, what is one thing that your character can't live without? And I'm mainly looking for something that's like an object or a keepsake.
Yeah. Hmm.
And obviously, can't live without maybe an exaggeration, or it could just be something that you hold very dearly, or something that you always take with you.
A bandana that was given to him when he was spliced from the grandfather cactus. So he has his trusty bandana that he's had growing up all his life. It's kind of like his comfort.
Who gave him the bandana?
I think it'd be cool if the grandfather cactus gave him the bandana, but I don't know why.
You don't have to know why.
Maybe the grandfather cactus didn't even know why.
Well, we can say that the grandfather cactus gave him the bandana.
Cool. That'd be cool.
I can come up with a reason why. Don't you worry. So we're still talking about where you are. We didn't really talk about how you made it to Mithra and became an Aetherclad. We could probably talk about that a little bit right now. You probably went to some nearby town which had Aetherclad in it that established a route with portal travel to take people from Cactix to Mithra, and kind of take refuge there from the Withering. That'd probably be the easiest way to explain it if you guys were exploring.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good segue into the Aetherclad.
Yeah. And since the Aetherclad is so big, they probably would have up recruitment signs and all that stuff to join. And I think that your adventurous buddy would probably sign up with you
Mm-hmm.
to be a part of the Aetherclad.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Is it another one of those situations where the your other friend goes along with reluctantly, or do you think she actually stays behind this time?
I think she might actually stay behind.
Yeah. How does that make
to
you feel?
care for the people of the town?
How does that make you feel that she stayed behind whenever you three are normally all are together?
Well, it's definitely sad because she's one of my close friends. I understand it that she'd want to take care of people more than go out and adventure for this potential cure that might not even exist.
Yeah.
And care for people and spend potentially last moments with people in the town.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So pretty standard. You got to recruitment. You signed up. We could probably say that your natural plant-like resilience with your needle shooting abilities probably got you pretty easily into the Aetherclad. But what type of role do you have within the Aetherclad? Um, so let me explain that a little bit. Um, Within the Aetherclad, there are squads that kind of go out and visit different dimensions and stuff like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so you'll obviously need some sort of like pilot to manage the travel between worlds, maybe some sort of engineer to maintain the craft that you take between portals. Um, you maybe need some sort of enforcer protection or some sort of diplomat. I think squads can be made of all sorts of combinations. It's really up to you which role that you think that your character would best fit in a sort of this night group.
Yeah, I'd probably say more like protection, I think.
Okay.
Because he's not by any means. He would definitely have to have a steep learning curve for anything like engineer or pilot related.
Yeah.
Um, Coming from this small town in the middle of nowhere, so he's probably, but he has grown up protecting his buddies, so he's probably most familiar with stuff with that kind of role.
Okay. Do you kind of engage with the various cultures that have traveled to Nexus whenever you visited Mithra? There's obviously a bunch of different dimensions and planes that are taking refuge at Nexus that you probably would have ran into if you were there for any sort of extended period of time.
I'd say I probably keep to myself for the most part.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. You probably would be staying at Nexus for maybe a month or two before the first section would start because it probably would take time to actually get recruited and stuff like that and
Mm-hmm.
um, be scheduled to leave on your first mission. And you'd probably be staying at some sort of refugee camp that would house many of these dimensions. And I don't really have many other dimensions that are planned out right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to add a dimension of your own right now, I'll let you. With us,
Oh, I don't have anything off the top of my head.
yeah, I probably should prepare this um, earlier. But if you want to come up with something later, this is completely up to you. Um,
Okay, sweet.
just send me it and I can add it. That's the fun part about this type of world is that it's literally kind of the sky's the limit with what you can have here.
Sweet.
I think that's going to be all for our questions. Now let's go. Is your character going? What does your character hope to accomplish within the next few years?
I think he hopes to accomplish a cure for the withering of his town, or at least his town. Hopefully, like the planet.
Yeah.
Cactus.
Yeah. So it's a kind of desperation. It's not really a long term goal, but hopefully a short term goal.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Um, did you have any hope before the withering that you wish to accomplish or a goal, anything like that?
Not at the moment. Not that I thought of.
I know from your previous when you're talking about your character just wanted to get out there and explore and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, definitely. Maybe just try to explore some more towns on Cactus.
Okay. What is his ideal version of happiness and ideal version of life?
Probably to have his town, them being okay, and he just be able to go and kind of wander from place to place and kind of maybe explore some new things, new people. So probably not necessarily ever staying in one place.
Yeah. Have you wanted to explore different dimensions before? Is that part, or it's just you want to explore Cactus?
Probably, I'd say probably I only ever really knew about exploring Cactus, and maybe in the more recent years I've heard about these guys and have thought about going a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but now, you haven't really thought about it a whole lot.
No, not necessarily.
Okay. If your character was filthy, stinking rich, what would they spend their money on?
That's interesting. I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard question.
Yeah, I do like that question. That's always a because I think it does really show what your character's like if they had a lot of money, what they actually would spend their money on.
Mm-hmm. I say maybe investing it back into the Cactus Town, but I don't know. I'd say they usually don't really use like money a whole lot over there, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't thought about like the economy of the Cactus Town.
it doesn't really seem like they really have an economy. It seems like
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
because apparently they don't really need anything, so they just kind
Yeah, maybe he could just maybe he finds something out there that he'd like to spend his money on.
of. Yeah, so it's basically if he was filthy, stinking rich, he would just hold on to the money.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, your end goal for being in the Aetherclad is to find the Withering or find the cure for the Withering for Grandfather Cactus. Do you think after that happens, would you stay stay within the Aetherclad, or you think you just go back?
I think I'd probably stay in the Aetherclad.
You think so?
Yeah,
Your does your character?
maybe visit town every now and then, but I think he'd find the Aetherclad very interesting.
Yeah, but does your character think that they're going to stay within the Aetherclad?
Maybe not at first.
Yeah, it's
You know.
it's always hard to determine what they're going to think later on. What if?
Yeah.
So you think that you as a player think that they're probably going to want to stay in, as with the Aetherclad, but your character, Mr. Cactus, uh, he he kind of just sees this as a means to an end, a cool means to an end, but a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that right?
I'd say so.
Okay. Finally, what is your outlook on the Withering?
What do you mean?
Like, how optimistic are you with finding this cure?
Ooh. I'd say he's probably pretty optimistic at first, but doesn't really know much about it. So maybe the more he learns about it, because it's already happened to a few dimensions, right?
Yeah, yours has actually it's basically just begun to wither. Wow, there's already a few that the Aetherclad that have visited, where they have fully disintegrated.
Yeah, so maybe as he learns that there's already been a few that haven't turned out so well, kind of resets his expectations.
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of all the questions that I have come up with, um, to kind of get a general vibe of your character, where they're wanting to go, what their backstory kind of is. Um, I think it's a very good place to start. Obviously, if we were to play this campaign, we'd get a better feel for your character as we play and develop out more stuff. Um, you gave me a few really cool NPCs that I could work with, that I've wrote down.
Sweet.
And if this was a full campaign, I might still just make that plant class or the species, excuse me.
Okay.
Just to show how that would look, making a homebrew species and stuff like that.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about with your character? I think I got basically all I would need. Right.
Yeah, that's yeah, you're pretty thorough. Yeah, I don't have anything else that I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay. So again, thank you, Jake. Thank you for talking to me for an hour about making a character. My goal here is that I can help with all this information, integrate your character within the story and stuff like that. I'm also going to do character creation with two other players. We're going to do it with Jaden and Connor, where
Awesome.
Jaden's going to be going through the same thing that you're going through, and Connor, he is making just the whole this what we did. He's going to be doing it himself and sending what he comes up with to me. And so I'm my goal there is trying to come up with how that works whenever the DM is not involved in the character creation process
Uh,
at all. Because some people
that's cool.
don't really like making characters with the DMs. Um, I never really got that, but some people do enjoy just making characters on their own.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Yeah, I like that idea.